Hello, Being Brumo here and welcome to a new series. Now if you know me, you probably realize that I have a few series going, but there's a reason why there is a new one. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that I have a medical condition. I have something called ulcerative colitis, and what that is, it's similar to Crohn's, if you've heard of Crohn's before. It's basically an intestinal disease in which your food doesn't digest properly. You don't get the nutrients, you don't get anything good, and you're constantly in the bathroom, you lose a lot of weight, therefore I have other issues. So basically what's happened over the last while, you've probably noticed I haven't done any videos in a while, the Being Brumo Builds series has sort of stopped, is because at the beginning of the year, I actually moved jobs. So I was working at Mini as a car salesman, but I moved to Multimatic. It's basically like a dream job type thing. And it was to further my life and career and push myself a little bit. Not that pushing myself really made a difference, but my body's got to the point of, of not being able to function. So basically the story goes that 12 years ago, 2007, is that 12? Yeah, 2007, I picked up a load of problems. So swine flu, H1N1, can't remember exactly which ones, but I picked up all of those. I worked at a school at the time, so you know, kids. And what happened is I got all of those, and one of them, or at least one of them, was a trigger. So genetically, we have this issue in us. Some of us do, some of us don't, but you need a trigger for it to really happen. My cousin has it, and that's the only case in my family. So the trigger happened and I got sick and I lost a lot of weight, and you know, you think it's a short-term thing, or you think it's something that will go away. As bad as it was, you think it will go away. Fortunately mine didn't. As time went on, I felt better and better, and yet I was still going to the bathroom a lot. I was still losing a lot of weight. I was still unable to eat certain foods without feeling bloated and just generally uncomfortable. After a while, we did some tests and tried to figure out what it is. Quite a lot of months went by before we figured it out. But in perspective, in 2007, I was in 2 soccer teams. I was racing go-karts competitively. I was actually moving to cars. You know, I had a job, I had schooling, I had a lot of things going on, and I was quite fit. And you know, I had my problems, but I could manage them. I was still moderately the same as I'd always been, apart from extra bathroom breaks and not really knowing why I was going to the bathroom a lot. I could still hold it, and that's something that disappeared pretty quickly. And just generally just confused of what my body was doing. As time went on, I was eventually diagnosed with UC. So you know, watch what you eat. There's no real guidelines to UC. It's still a new disease, and not everybody has the same symptoms or reacts the same way to everything. So there's a lot of trial and error right now. And I mean, I've helped in this time. I've helped do some trial and error and some tests and research with doctors to try and figure out why things do what they do, which won't be my benefit, but you know, hopefully it'll be somebody's. Over the last 12 years, it's been a lot of medication, a lot of trying different medications, a lot of trying different foods, a lot of trying to figure out what reacts. Back in 2013, I went back to live in England on my own, and I noticed a huge difference. So when I was, before the problem, I was about 140 pounds, which, I mean, I'm 5'6", so it's not a huge amount anyway, but it's sort of normal. And I had dropped to 125 living in Canada up to 2013, so that's, you know, good, what was that, 6 years? When I went back to England, I gained 10 pounds on average. So I say on average, it was still fluctuating up and down, but I gained 10 pounds. So I had a gut, which is something I've never had. And I was just generally heavier and able to eat better. And that is probably because England has a lot more farm food, non-GMO, that sort of thing. A lot less preservatives, like milk actually goes off within about 2 days rather than a month, which still boggles my mind. And it goes off in a nice smell. It doesn't smell bad. It smells like yogurt, which is kind of funny. Don't eat it though, don't eat it. But yeah, so I gained some weight and it seemed positive, and we seemed to figure out some things. So there's something called rapeseed oil in the UK, which is called canola oil here. And some of you may have read on the internet or seen in news stories that canola oil is pretty bad for you. And I discovered that's one of the worst things for me. If you've ever had actual flu, none of this, I have a cold flu. No, actual flu where you're throwing up, your joints seize, you ache all over, you're sweating, your skin is sensitive, all that stuff, headaches. That's what I get from maybe not even a quantifiable amount of canola oil, so a tiny amount. So there's canola oil, there's vegetable oil of all kinds, and that's a tricky one because that's a huge bracket they put that in, so canola can be vegetable oil, so can many other things. Sunflower oil is a bad one as well, so there's 3 main bad ones, and we figured that out. So that was a huge step, and we thought, you know, making progress, figuring out what was going wrong and figuring out what works and what doesn't. The problem is not necessarily that I came back. I had to come back mentally. It's where my family and friends are, that's where my life is. It's really that even after figuring those things out, all that time, every meal, every time I go to the bathroom, I'm losing something. And it may not be a huge amount, but it's something. So over 12 years of having it, after starting a new job, a dream job, and a month into it, my body gave up. I'm anemic, so I lose a lot of blood. My iron levels are just above blood transfusion. I go for iron every 2 weeks, IV, just to keep me sort of functioning. But even so, I'm still struggling. This is the most awake I'll be. Let's put it this way, I got up at 12 something, it's 3, and I will be done in about 2 hours. So I don't have a full day's work in me. I had to quit that job. And when I say tired, I don't mean just generally tired. I don't mean what everybody gets, oh, I'm tired. I don't mean that. I don't know if you've ever experienced the times when you are so tired that you cannot keep your eyes open. You feel nauseous, you feel dizzy, you just are unable to function. Your brain doesn't work, you're slow. Somebody asks you a question, you're just like, well, I mean that tired. And that tired when it hits you when you're an hour away from home and you have to drive home, and just generally, and then like, what do you do? Another thing of why my body was messing me around, especially today, it's been pretty bad, is I'm now throwing up a lot. For no reason. Just throwing up. It's not like I've eaten anything bad, it's not like I've done anything. The doctors say it's because of the anemia and because of the low iron, and my body's sort of reacting, but it doesn't matter if I have iron or not, I still just throw up. So that's a fun time. that's my life at the moment. So what this video is about is really about the process. So because I got to the point of desperation, because I got to the point of not being able to work anymore, I basically said to my doctors that I'm done with trying medication. There isn't a cure for my issue, but there is a fix. The fix is surgery. The fix is removing the colon. There's 2 ways in which most people experience the removal of the colon, which is, well, I guess there's 2 different procedures depending on your condition, which is one, if, I'm going to say some words here. One, if your rectum isn't good, you basically will always have an external bag, a colostomy bag. You've probably heard that term before. The other side of it, which is me, thankfully, is it is good. The rectum's good. So what they do is, in the first surgery, they do all they need to do. What they do is they take out the colon and they take the small intestine, they extend it and attach it to the rectum, but in a way that they've folded it back on itself and made like a pouch. quite a big pouch to replicate sort of the capacity size of colon. Because if you imagine the small intestine, if you're putting stuff into that, well, I'll go every 5 seconds if that's the case. So they make this pouch to be able to hold more. In that surgery, they also then attach a colostomy bag so that your body can heal before it has anything bad going through it. 3 months to a year to whatever it takes to get the next surgery. I have a bag on the outside of me, and hopefully I'm living okay and improving, and then they go in at the end of that, do the other surgery and connect it up, and hopefully I'll function, well, relatively normally. And the reason why I'm going for that is because all reports are positive. 100% of everybody I talk to, including doctors and people who've had it, so they report waking up and feeling great. They report not really noticing the bag, and they say that their lives are so much better, and that's what I want. I'm sick of being sick. I'm sick of trying stuff that doesn't work, being disappointed, struggling through life, and I can't afford to struggle through life right now. If there's an option, I've got to take it to make my life better. So that being said, everything is in the works for the surgery. I have to do a few things. I have to meet with a surgeon. I have to meet with nutritionists to try and get my body up to being able to cope with the surgery. I have to do some fitness tests and everything, and that's what's actually coming up tomorrow. I have to do a load of stuff, and this really is the beginning of all the major stuff that's going to happen. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the interest in my health, in me in general. Thanks for going through all this, and if you're interested, then watch out for new videos. Thanks again. See you soon.